Thank you, Minister. Yeah, as stated, schools have always been a safe place. The fact that we've had remote learning for children has primarily focused on the uncertainty around the contribution to community transmission with kids having on-site face-to-face learning. We've only known about this virus for 4 months. There remains some uncertainty about it. The scientific literature has really only come out in the last month with most of its findings. And so a precautionary and graded approach is entirely appropriate. I think I needed to be satisfied that Victoria was in a position where community transmission was low and remaining low, and that we'd done sufficient testing to give a very clear picture that that was in fact the case. I'm satisfied that that's where we're at in Victoria, and that's given me the confidence to provide the advice that face-to-face learning can return. But as I say, the environment for kids, for staff and the broader school community is indeed safe, and I hope that everyone can go back with the confidence around the advice that's been provided. The Nobel laureate Peter Doherty has said this is an experiment for everyone returning, and that schools is a place that it should be decided on a case-by-case, jurisdiction-by-jurisdiction basis. That's what we're doing in Victoria, and we're doing it based around the epidemiology of transmission here. You know, if we were Northern Territory or Western Australia, we might have gone about it differently, but we've needed to take an approach in Victoria that reflects transmission of virus in the community, and we've needed to do the testing blitz, as I say, to give me the confidence that we're at a point where it is entirely appropriate for kids and teachers to return to face-to-face teaching. Good luck with everyone returning. I'm looking forward to my kids returning. They won't be going until June. Nonetheless, I think it's something that everyone should feel confident in returning to operationally. Sure. 8 of them relate to Cedar Meats, so 6 of those are in workers, and 2 of those are in close contacts of workers. You really can get positive results for 2 weeks after exposure. So it's not unsurprising that there are still some individuals who have obviously been away from that site for over a week, but are nonetheless testing positive now. But the entire workforce, as you know, has been in quarantine, and so the risk to others is really minimal. The remainder of those cases are under investigation, but I think are really a reflection of how much testing we're doing on a daily basis now in Victoria. As I said yesterday, there are some cases that are turning up now by virtue of the volume of testing that we're doing, including for people with very mild symptoms that we might not otherwise have found in Victoria. So I think, you know, they'll all be investigated, but it's actually gratifying to see cases that we might otherwise have missed and not had an opportunity to investigate, to understand, and to stop the transmission for those individuals.
How many tests do you have yet to return from the CMEX workforce?
I'm not sure. There'll be additional tests every day if there are additionally symptomatic individuals. So some of those will be pending, I think, but I'm not sure of the exact number, Simon. There are 3 more cases that have been classified as community transmission. So again, I think the additional testing volumes that we've gone through is an important component in identifying that. It's still low levels. You know, this is part of the reassurance about return to schools compared to where we might have been, or compared to a number of other countries where you know, it would be a different story for schools to return. We're at a you know, 1 in 5,000 tests returning positive. That's a very low rate, and out of 6.5 million people, to have single figures of community transmission on a daily basis is pretty reassuring.
Can you talk us through the process if a school student tests positive for the virus? Yeah, do you expect that's the usual sort of contact tracing and just their contacts going into quarantine, or will the whole school have to shut down?
Generally, we've had a procedure where schools have closed, and that's in order to do the contact tracing so that we can identify exactly who those students have been in face-to-face contact with for 15 minutes or more, or in the same room for 2 hours. That process can take some time, so it's appropriate to have a reactive closure of the school to undertake that investigation. It's usually only a matter of a day or a few days before the entire school can return, but we'll take it on a case-by-case basis according to how those students have moved around the school and the contacts that they've had.
Any more cases linked to dogs?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Any others linked to other clusters that we've heard there?
No, not in today's update.
And no further healthcare workers at the moment?
No further healthcare workers that I'm aware of, no.
So
And
we've
is
got
it
eight, if we've got
84?
8 cedar meats and three community transmissions, where's the other?
So the others are under investigation. Yeah.
And is it 84 or 85 now that seems linked to cedar meats?
Let me check for you. 85.
85.
Yeah.
Premier, what you made the schools announcement yesterday, what work needed to be done between?
Yes, it is safe to travel on public transport. We've obviously seen a real drop-off in the volumes of individuals on public transport, but you know they'll be in a setting at school where they're asked not to turn up if they're unwell. The same would apply to public transport. They're being asked to look after hand hygiene and to try and keep a distance to the extent possible. The same will apply on public transport. So if there's a spare seat next to you, keep that spare. But the volumes on public transport are really the thing that has meant that public transport doesn't present the risk that it would in normal circumstances when absolutely everyone is on board at the same time.
How many teachers do you expect to test, and what will be the criteria for being tested?
I'm happy to speak
Yeah,
to that.
sure. Thanks.
This is a really important